Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Today, I'm here with Tsveti. She's back. I hope she's doing well, and she's gonna hopefully make a little bit more videos for us. And today we will be talking about the Venus retrograde in 2023. Obviously, Venus is a planet which is the rarest when it comes to when it comes to retrograde cycles. So she goes retrograde approximately about 6-7% of the times, while other planets go retrograde more often, such as Mars, about 9-10% of its time retrograde. Mercury is about 22-23% a year. So Venus is the rarest, therefore most likely one of the most important retrograde phase of our lives. So how are you doing, Tsveti?
Hi, Victor. I am so happy to be back. Indeed, I have been wanting this for ages, I can say. And yeah, life was tough lately, so I couldn't really do it. But I'm glad I'm back, and I really hope I will be able to do videos more often now. Um, yeah, and let's see what Venus has for us. It's going to be in Leo for almost 4 months during the summer. So when we are going to have fun and joy, just what Leo represents. So hopefully, because it's a benefic planet, it will bring all the good stuff. Yeah.
So, Tsveti is offering at the moment 30% discount on her yearly transit reading. So if you are interested, check that out. And I think there is no better time than to talk about and focusing on love when Venus is going to be retrograde in the sign of Leo. That's very much of a lovely combination. So if you haven't checked out my retreat yet, which is going to take place on the 29th of May till 3rd of June, so 6 days intense program only about relationship. This year, we've got loads of relationship traits going on. So the Venus retrograde, the nodes are shifting into Libra and Aries. We're going to have to, and when the nodes are shifting into Aries and Libra, that's exactly when the Venus retrograde period starts also. So there is loads of focus on the relationship department. That's why I wanted to do a retreat about it. So we can be ready. We can clear some of the blockages with family constellation therapy as well. And hopefully we can create better relationships for us. But without any further ado, let's get started. Yes, let's take it
Yes.
away. So how do we feel about
Yeah,
this?
maybe we should mention the exact dates when Venus will be actually retrograde and also the shadow period, so that everyone can somehow know how this will affect their personal charts as well. And maybe we can mention that actually Venus will affect not only the sign of Leo, but also we should be looking at where we have Libra and Taurus in our charts, in which house, because Venus is the ruler of Libra and Taurus. So in the interpretation, we should be combining the meaning of all three houses to see how it will really affect us. Also, because Leo is a fixed sign, it will be making Venus will be making a square to all the fixed sign, which is Scorpio, Taurus, Aquarius, and Leo. And but still, because it's a benefic, I don't expect the squares to be that hard to swallow, although they can cause some hardship. So Venus will ingress in Leo on the 6th of June. And then on the 19th of June, it will enter the pre-shadow at 12 degrees, 12 minutes in Leo. Then on the 24th of July, at 28 degrees, 36 minutes in Leo, it will turn retrograde. And then it will station to turn direct at 12 degrees, 12 minutes Leo on the 3rd of September. And then it will continue to the 28 degree until the 7th of October, which is the post shadow, where we can expect some development of the themes that actually emerged during the retrograde, and possibly some resolution, some salvation. And then on the 10th of October, Venus will leave Leo and it will ingress into Virgo. So as you can see, this is quite a long period of time. From the 6th of June until the 10th of October, we will have Venus in Leo. And in the period between the 24th of July and the 3rd of September, this is 40 days. Actually, every time Venus goes retrograde, it retrogrades for 40 days and 40 nights. And so this will be the period where some topics might appear related to Venus, what Venus rules. And what does Venus rule? I will move on. Actually, Venus as the ruler of Libra, it represents any type of relationships, our sense of style, it's our love language, it's any kind of reciprocity, what we give and what we receive. It's about balance, it's about harmony. It represents purity, some kind of purity, some kind of equality in the relationship. Venus rules flowers, so it rules beauty and anything we value. It rules our values. And on the more, because it's also the ruler of Taurus, it also manifests in terms of, is the natural ruler of money, finance, anything tangible, any material possession that we have. So the assets, our wealth, what kind of spenders we are, what we like to spend on, and also how we value and how we spend and how we invest our money and energy as well. Because money is a representation of energy anyway. So yeah, more or less, yeah, it rules harmonization between people, it rules relationship, it relates people, so, and brings beauty and harmony in the world. That's actually what Venus strives for. Yeah, it rules,
like every single like every single planet, you know, Venus has got its shadow side as well. You know, I mean, Venus in Greek mythology was the Roman goddess of love, sex, fertility, and beauty. But she did have two lovers. One of them was Vulcan, and the other one was Mars. And basically, she was always in a love triangle. And she had kids with Vulcan, who was the lover. She had 4 children, actually, but she never had a child with Mars. And then once Mars got angry, and then basically they got caught in the bedroom, and Mars called all the gods to come and humiliate them, basically. So they kind of went through a humiliation. So, and then the 4 kids they gave birth to was the god of fear, the god of terror, the god of conquered, and love as well, which is Cupid, or we can also call it as Eros. Now, Eros is going to be important here. So some of the shadow side of Venus, you know, it might be about, you know, hedonism, a little bit of a perversion, prostitution, porn industry, gluttony, and never-ending satisfaction craving, the shamelessness, the emotionally demanding. Those are very much the dark side of Venus, actually.
Let's remember.
And the positive is, as you said, yeah, it's about our style and taste and affection and, you know, how we relate to others.
Yeah, and to ourselves, and also it's about pleasure, joy, and what we find joy in, and it's actually what determines our value system at one point, because we would be striving towards something we like. That's natural. And also, let's not forget that Venus is actually the daughter of Uranus. So she is rebellious indeed when it comes to someone tying the knot with her. It's not possible indeed. She is very freedom oriented, and she wants to really express freely the way, yeah, that's the way the energy manifests. So I wanted to mention also that Venus is actually a nocturnal planet. It's more beneficial in night charts. So it doesn't mean that people who were born during the day wouldn't benefit from its influence, but still people who were born at night, that's their greater benefic, while for people born during the day, that would be Jupiter. And yeah, so yeah, that's what actually Venus rules. Also Venus as a representative of Taurus, it rules the five senses. That's where the joy and pleasure and stuff come from. So and that's how we actually choose what we spend on. And here it can be quite um, something difficult, as you mentioned, because we might lean on too much on pleasures, and as you mentioned, gluttony. Venus rules the sweet tooth. So we might, focus too much on the pleasures of life and not be willing to work that much. It could represent laziness a little bit and unwillingness to put effort, like waiting for something to come from the gods, just because you're beautiful, and not being willing to really work on it. So yeah. That generally that's what Venus represents in the charts. And I actually shared my screen. I don't know, you're able to see it, right? This is the chart of when Venus turns retrograde. I set it for Sofia time because I'm based in Sofia, but anyone could adjust the chart to their time zone. So yeah, maybe we should say a few words for what Venus in Leo specifically represents, because it's going to spend there so much time. So Leo is all about ourselves. It's about our individuality. So Venus will be choosing our individual self and self-expression when it's in Leo. So it's going to be wanting to keep all the attention. So it's going to be flashy and luxurious. It's going to be very creative as well, because Leo is a very creative sign. So it's going to have a great manifestation in terms of arts and music and anything for dance, specifically because Leo is a fire sign. So it will like to move more. So any type of art related to movement and to really also a little bit childlike, because Leo is, childlike. It's going to be even more about joy and pleasure. When it's in Leo, it's going to be about generosity as well, because Leo is a very generous sign, and it's going to want to be accepted and recognized as noble. So the choices that we make will be related to our vision. It will be related to us wanting to portray ourselves as someone noble and generous, and making really expensive gifts, because Venus likes to give as well, and to somehow enjoy and pay attention to the good things in life, to entertain, to have fun. Fun is all about Leo, and not in a modest way, definitely. So yeah, if you have something to add.
I think definitely Leo is one of those love signs, right? So that would be the natural ruler of the fifth house. And so I think love is going to be pretty much in the limelight, really. But sometimes a little bit of an issue with Leo is that it likes having parties, right? And Venus also loves having parties too. So it could really talk about not necessarily attending our responsibilities, for example. Leo wants to be serviced and admired all the time. It kind of feels like, that the earth is rotating around me. So Venus is gonna go retrograde on that Regulus, right? Almost on 29 degrees. So it's like a king energy. So I want everyone to pay attention to me. And obviously, it doesn't always happen in our lives, right? So often Venus in Leo becomes a little bit possessive towards someone, or they don't want to let go of someone when it's kind of needed. And as you said, Leo is about self-expression. So if I feel like, things are not working out for me, then I need to be able to let go. But it's a fixed sign, so it's holding on to things.
Oh yeah.
Often the problem of fixed signs originates from the previous fixed sign, which is actually Taurus. Now that's self-worth. So often, I'm not beautiful enough. I'm not comfortable in my own skin. I need affection. At least, I don't know, this guy is looking up to me or, treats me well. But the question is, do we really have that passion and desire? Do we really, kind of in love? You
Yeah.
know, that's the type of energy what it has got also as well.
Yeah, it has staying power definitely, but on the more negative side, it can actually manifest as stubbornness and keep doing things that are no longer applicable, valid, and you just keep pouring energy into it because Leo is a fire sign and it has a lot of energy indeed, and it can kind of tend to be prone to the good things in the past and just being stuck to it and not being able to move on. So yeah, I absolutely agree. And Leo, as you mentioned, needs to be appreciated for all its talents and gifts, and that's why it likes like to be the center of the universe, like the sun actually that rules Leo is the center of the universe. So and maybe the more negative manifestation of Leo comes out when they feel unappreciated indeed and unseen, and they just keep bugging others so they can be noticed, and it could come to kind of a negative uh, um, to the negative manifestation in that case. So Leos need to know they are the center of their own universe, and that's what they need to value. They need to value themselves and not really be like, they need to be the center of their own universe so that everyone can see their light and learn from them in that sense.
And I
So
also
yeah,
believe, that because Leo does talk about self-employment.
yeah,
Leo likes being on the top, and it likes being a boss as well. And Venus being the planet of earning abilities, I think maybe in the world, again, more and more attention is going to be paid for self-employment. So people will be thinking or, revisiting some ideas about, how can I be my own boss? Very important to mention in regards to Venus cycles that Venus goes retrograde only in 5 signs. So the last time, and it repeats. So every fifth Sun and Venus conjunction happens in the same sign. And the last time Venus went retrograde in the sign of Leo was approximately about 8 years ago. So we need to go back to that 2015 period and looking at, did we actually start doing something there? Because we did have the Sun and Venus conjunction happening in the sign of Leo. And now we're going to have to revisit some of those topics. Now, there is the milestone as well, of course, in the middle, which might be that 4-year cycle there. This is something which we call as a 5-pointed star, what Venus really does. So I'm not going to go into that deeply, but Venus retrograde, let's say Gemini season happened in 2020, between 2020. So basically, we had 2012, 13-ish when we had the Venus retrograde happening in the sign of Gemini. So always 8 years before. So you might want to be revisiting what was going on in your life around those periods as well.
Yeah, definitely. It will give a maybe development in the same themes. Yeah.
The last
And
time I checked, it was 15th of August 2015 when
yeah,
Venus Sun conjunction happened. And that was actually on 22 degree of Leo.
it's
So
going,
what was going on in our lives around 2015, July, August, September period? Because those can be coming back as topics for
yeah,
us.
that's exactly when I started learning astrology, indeed. That's
You go. Now,
exactly.
Venus in the sign of Leo is
Yeah.
about exposure. And because
Yeah.
it's retrograde, we're going to have to kind of, revisit that. Why maybe that passion is burning out, or do I still like it? Do I want to move forward? Or do I want to make money out of it? Or why haven't I done something with it? You know,
Yeah.
so these might be some of the topics, and it's going to happen in your 10th house as well anyway,
Yes.
right? If I'm not
Yes.
mistaken.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
And yeah, I expect things to develop. And this year we are going to have the Venus Cosimi, the conjunction with the Sun on the 13th of August, indeed. So at 20 degrees of Leo, just mentioning. So it's going to be a very nice time to start something related to
Typically,
Venus.
these are happening, these conjunctions happening almost around the same degree. That's why it's a very symmetrical 5-pointed star, what Venus movement kind of, you know, Venus is like a labyrinth. It's like a rose petal. There are those, you know, petals there, and then they form a nice shape, but it's like a labyrinth as well. Often we're going to have to unchain Venus from all the problems she has with Vulcan and Mars. And as I said, she had kids with Mars, but none with Vulcan and the other, you know, so the love triangles. And Venus in Leo loves the love triangles pretty much,
Yeah,
you know.
and especially for the signs where it's going to touch the 8th or 12th house, then it might actually manifest as a life triangle. Who knows? But yeah, it's very nice to look back at 2015 and to see what was going on there at that time, so we can really see the exact topic going on for each sign. And generally, during a Venus in retrograde, it's a good time to revisit stuff, relationships, and things going on with our finances, money. But maybe it's not the best time to start something absolutely new. It's not good for marriage, as they say. And maybe not a good idea to start a brand new partnership at that time. For people who have Venus retrograde in their natal chart, maybe the energies will be more familiar, and it might actually happen that some new things happen for them and kind of develop positively, but this will be like an exception. So for most of the people, it's not the best idea to start something new related to money, tangible assets, and we should be careful not to overindulge in things as well, and not to be overly dramatic and kind of go over the top because we might.
Completely agree. I mean,
Yeah.
both Venus and Leo love luxury.
Oh
So
yeah.
this might be a period of time when people have to be revisiting their spending habits.
Oh, yep.
You know, what's essential, what's not so essential. Leo wants obviously all the nice things because it's all glitter and it's all,
Yeah.
you know, it's all about vanity. And Venus, you know, indulges with that. Venus loves also comfort and vanity as well. So spending habits might be, you know, a major topic for us
Yeah,
as into.
definitely. Mm-hmm. And yeah, and also in terms of food and stuff, over indulging into pleasure and into the good things of life and forgetting about our responsibilities. That's not the best thing to do, because then we'll have to face the consequences of this. Indeed. And although Venus is a benefic, I think that it can actually slip us in a very bad way sometimes, and then we'll have to deal with what we actually with our decisions. So there are
You know,
consequences.
on a mundane level, Leo would be talking about entertainment industry. So you mentioned
Yeah.
restaurants, for example. So a scenario is with Venus is that I love eating out. And then obviously I realize, oh, how much money I'm spending on restaurants and takeaways. Or it might be about, do I want to go to the theater? Do I want to go to the cinema industry? Leo rules celebrities as well. So well, you know, a couple of years ago, we made a video about Celine Dion, if you remember, and then
Yeah,
we
so I
mentioned
remember.
that, and unfortunately, she looks like she's facing some major health issues. Now,
Yes.
she is facing some major health issues. And, you know, I was wondering, Saturn moving into Pisces and also the Venus retrograde, how is she going to cope with those health issues? You know, I'm really
I,
hoping that
yeah.
Venus brings her some solution, though. But it
Fingers
does rule
crossed.
celebrities. So we have got a yacht formation with this Venus to Neptune and Pluto. It could talk
Yeah, yeah.
about a loss of a celebrity as well, unfortunately.
Yeah, and also it's turning retrograde on Regulus. I was even thinking about some world leaders, or I don't, because Leo and Regulus rule kings, leaders. So it could be something related to that as well. Well, we have a saving grace though, because Venus is in trine and sextile to the nodes at the time it turns retrograde. As you mentioned, the nodes have just changed sign, and they will be moving into Aries and Libra. So the trine and the sextile to the nodes could, it's going to be some karmic stuff. It's going to be something that was meant to happen anyway, or maybe it could kind of give rebirth to someone who was
1 second. Just stop the recording, please.
okay. So yeah, the Venus trine and sextile to the nodes could be something nice. It could be because it will be in retrograde. It could be the return of some leader we've forgotten as well, someone from the past. So as to renegotiate terms maybe, and yeah, maybe this could be something nice as well. Although Venus will be making 3 squares to Uranus during its retrograde phase, and it might be it's in Leo, which is excitement and flashiness and wanting to be seen and noticed. And when it's in a square to Uranus, it's going to get even more more excited. And to me, it looks like, I feel like it's about something that we swept under the carpet, and then it suddenly bursts out, and it can actually be really strong, some situation, and that we'll have to revisit during the retrograde period. And with this Uranus, which is the ruler of Aquarius, and when Venus is in retrograde, it actually could manifest with the qualities of the opposite sign and being a little bit more cold and kind of not so about harmony, and maybe overdoing it a little bit. Yeah, so we should be careful about this, and because Uranus is very much on the moment reaction type, maybe we should pay attention not to say and do things, especially when it comes to important relationships in our life, because that's what Venus rules, one-to-one relationships, and also about money, not to spend on the spur of the moment, not to do it emotionally, and not to, if we suddenly wake up and have some brilliant idea of what we can invest our money in, maybe we should leave it for a while and really consider it carefully. And also the square to Jupiter, it's a sign based square because they don't have an aspect, but still actually they will make an aspect at one point. So it's again this desire to stand out of Leo, to be the leader, to get it all, and this could actually bring financial loss or a breakup of a partnership. I would say that Uranus and Jupiter, they're here to test the relationship. They're here to test our value system. They're here to test what we actually want in the long run, because Jupiter rules our long-term goals, and Uranus rules big groups of people, how we are seen in the society, in a bigger system, in a wider sense. So it will be here to test us. And actually what's good for us, because Venus is a benefic after all. So what's good for us will stay, and what's actually already done its job, it will just go away. But we really need to be careful to make to somehow draw the line, and to be careful how we consider, how we talk to people, how we actually invest our money, and what's actually our true value system, what represents our true values, and to really pay attention to that and to focus on to that, and to, if we need, we should be putting extra effort, because it's a retrograde, to revisit, to renegotiate terms, and to actually make things better, more harmonized, and to bring back the equilibrium in our life. Yeah. So
Yeah, I'm just a little bit worried with those in conjunction to Pluto and Neptune, those are very tight. So obviously we have got the planet of control there and the planet of illusions. Often what it could actually indicate is that we are trying to control our emotions, or we are trying to control, our, who we are at heart. So it's going to be very important to dig deep in a psychological way. As you said, we're going to have to revisit, why do I need to be flashy all the time? Or why do I need this relationship? Or why do I have got relationship problems? So that in the future, we don't get disappointed, because that's the Neptunian element there, right? To get disappointed about something.
Yeah.
Why am I in a bubble? Because often Pluto might be bursting the bubble around us, and and then we kind of realize that things are not the way we kind of imagined. So obviously, some of the disharmonious side of this is that Leo has got that narcissistic tendency, especially if Neptune is involved. So why am I in a narcissistic relationship? What is that egocentric type of behavior? But also on a world scale, surely what you mentioned is that maybe an old leader is coming back and so forth. It's very possible that some type of negotiations will be happening. Just with those Uranus squares, it might not be that easy to negotiate, because the terms and the conditions, which are a little bit, I think, Taurian, the terms and the conditions are, not beneficial for one or the other. And therefore, I feel like it can bring a little bit of an argument as well. But on a personal level, definitely this is about what is influencing our relationship, what's important for us. Do I do something which is boring? How do I deal with drama? Do I like being in the middle of the drama? Am I acting out a little bit because Leo is childish? Do I need to get, Uranus might want us not to be lazy. He wants to kick the butt and get going with something, initiating something in a sense, which is more truly who you are. But Venus in Leo does need to accept criticism as well. Also, both Leo and Uranus are really freedom loving.
Yes.
So for me, it's definitely about, kind of like cutting chains of an old life. And the retrograde period would show a preparation. 28 degree, almost 29 degree of Leo. So that would mean that Venus is going to be in the third decan, which is Aries. And within Aries, that would be the Cancerian watch. So Venus has got that Cancerian element as well. It's imagine like that I want to gain freedom from my country and then I want to go somewhere else. I think it can bring in some immigration matters also.
Yes.
Or I want to cut chains with my family roots and I want to be free. So I go for a family constellation therapy, for example, but also it could indicate that I'm going to be moving away. So again, that immigration element is there, because I kind of feel like that the family or the country is suffocating me and so on. There's a little bit of a Cancerian flavor there, surely with the sun being on 29 degree anyway.
Yes, in Cancer indeed, and it's in opposition to Pluto, squaring the nodes, so there will be some situation definitely. And because Cancer is ruled by the moon rules the people, so on a more global level, it could be some tension and escalating among the people, among the common people, and the standard of life, and what's actually imprisoning us, what's being kind of power struggle style, kind of what's being pressured onto us like Pluto is representing pressure. And and how we can go back to our true identity, who we are on the inside, and how we can actually renegotiate this because Pluto is still in Capricorn, with the authorities. How is authority actually imposed onto the people? And how we can stand up for ourselves. So there is this tension here as well, on a more global level. But also, if you put it onto the personal level, then it's the same, because how we stand up for our authority within ourselves in front of others, and what's being actually pressed onto us, and how we can gain our power back, so that we can really be who we are, because Venus is ruled by the sun. So this opposition will be very important here, in the retrograde as well.
I
So
also was thinking about something to do with fake products versus quality products. Because Aquarius rules fake products and Leo rules quality products. So I'm just wondering, if people are going to be focusing a little bit more on the quality items. So hopefully, like the homemade products and so forth. And maybe that's why the restaurant business is going to struggle a little bit, even though it happens in the middle of the summer, but maybe tourism is going to slow down a little bit, or people are not going to spend as much money as they have expected in restaurants and so on, because they might choose to cook at home. Also, Leo rules the gold, diamond, rubies. So I did make a prediction sometimes a few months ago that I think the gold price is going to go up somewhere around the summer period. So, and one of the reasons why I believed was because of Venus being in the sign of Leo for an intense amount of time. If you are interested in gold, probably check out what was going on with gold in 2015, around the same period as well. And that might give you, a little bit, more indication on that.
Yep.
Okay. And, the other thing which I spotted is, I mentioned that Venus was in a love triangle with Mars and Vulcan. And very interesting that Vulcan, which is on 27 degree of Aquarius. So Venus is bang on opposing Vulcan at that moment. And it's opposing Eros as well. So that's very interesting to me, because obviously we have got the husbands here playing a role, and the lovers. Now, Vulcan was basically the son of Jupiter and Juno, and he was the husband of Venus, but they never had children, as I said. She only had 4 kids with Mars. Maybe I have said it the opposite way at the beginning. Sorry about that. But Vulcan is the god of volcanoes, but also metal working. He was a blacksmith. Now, basically, the story behind him is that he was born with deformity. He had a bright red face. He had issues with his feet as well. And then his mother, Juno, decided to throw him off of a cliff because he didn't want to have a rubbish son, basically. And some of the sea nymphs found him and raised him as their own. And then somehow Vulcan got back into the life of Juno, but she did not know that it was his son, but he realized how good blacksmith he is. And she asked him to make him a beautiful throne. Now, what Vulcan did was he did make that beautiful throne, but it was with invisible chains. And basically, he ashamed his own mother. Now, how interesting that we've got that square to Uranus, which is also representing the chains. So many of you can get into a love triangle here. basically. Or it could talk about on a world scale that we have got free people, free politicians, for example, are having negotiations, but maybe the one who is making the most out of it is, the one who got abandoned at first. Yeah, I kind of find it interesting. And also we have got Eros there. Now, Eros is the Greek god of love, desire, and sex. He was the son of Venus and Mars, as I said. And its astrological number is 433. And it's about lust. It's about sexual desire. So I feel like on a world scale, porn is going to be a huge topic, or something around, maybe a scandal that someone is doing something. So porn industry, for some reason, maybe regulations around the porn industry. Anyway, the Eros, everyone knows the story, but he was the one who evoked love and desire, between gods and humans as well, basically shooting an arrow, striking them with his
Cupid.
own, arrow. And yeah, basically that's the story there. Obviously, it's kind of like the cosmic pairing. Now, that Pluto, Neptune, I think how it comes into the picture is that it's very easy to fall in love, and we can get controlled by the feeling of love as well. But I also believe that Eros is kind of forcing us to have physical pleasures or chasing our own desires as well. So what am I getting excited about? I think that's very important. Also, Eros represents sexuality. So, I mean, sexual nature, sexual preferences, how we attract others, what are our fantasies. It's the asteroid of fetish as well, and how we want to be expressing our sexuality, basically. So obviously, this topic seems to be pretty big
Yes,
as
and
well, I think, coming up.
yeah, and also because the square is with Uranus in Taurus, and Taurus doesn't really like to change. It's a fixed sign, it's a fixed earth sign. It's so hard to move. And when Uranus is there and making squares, it's like high time to change. So it can kind of cause some kind of events which could almost look like karmic, catastrophic, but they are actually based on our internal desire for change, but unwillingness to change. Kind of, we want to stay in our comfort zone because that's what Taurus represents, and Venus as well, as its ruler. So being in the comfort zone for too long, actually we need someone to kick us a little bit or more when we stayed for too long, for example. So this Uranus square could be actually acting as this kick in the butt, on a personal and also on a global level. Indeed.
What I feel like is that, because when I look at the love language of Venus in Leo, it's very much about expensive gifts,
Oh yeah.
or it's very much about, I want someone who is proud of me, or someone who praises me, or I want someone who doesn't limit me,
Yeah.
or I feel a sense of comfort around the person, or I don't want anyone to humiliate me, or when I walk into the room, I want to be noticed, or I want to have sex and then tell me how good it was. And maybe those oppositions to Vulcan and Eros is bringing in a third party who is kind of giving those little moments, or maybe it's an old lover who comes back. And but then the question is it worth risking something which is stable, or do I need to go for something which is new and exciting, but maybe not so certain?
Productive. Mm.
And that's what maybe that Neptune exact in conjunction might be coming into the picture, because Neptune is longing for something here, right? It's in the sign of Pisces. It's longing for an ideal match, a
Yes.
perfect type of relationship, really.
Here, but Pluto.
So
It's about knowing the
And
price.
Pluto, yeah, and Pluto.
It's
We want the
about knowing the
passion as
price
well.
you're going to pay as well, Pluto. So we really need to use the scale of Libra and really pay attention to what's our internal desire, what's our value system. Are our actions going to be in line with it? Is it like we're going to do it no matter what? We want the change we want to pursue, or is this change actually going to affect us in a negative way? And then we'll have to pick up the pieces and kind of, make the puzzle whole. So we really need to be considerate about our choices. That's what Venus represents. And is it about being proud and flashiness, looking for to get only the joyful part of things, or looking in the long term, is it worth it? Really, we need to value and to evaluate and to assess, actually. Yeah. So yeah.
Great. Do we have anything else to share, or do you want something else?
I think we pretty much covered the Venus retrograde and what it's going to manifest in, and the energies around it. So I hope that we were able to support people in making the right decisions during the retrograde period, especially. And maybe on a more positive note generally, because we're going to be having Venus full months in Leo, actually, and it's not going to be retrograde all the time. We can say that it's actually a very positive thing indeed to have, because actually the house where we have Leo on the cusp is going to be manifesting beautifully, and it's going to have a benefic there for 4 months. So maybe we can really use it for something nice, to rework, to reevaluate, to dig deep, to research. It depends on where we have this Venus transiting in our personal chart, and if it's going to affect some planets through the transit, through aspects. But still, we can use this energy because it's a benefic, so we can use it for the better. And if we need to renegotiate something, think about it before the retrograde, and maybe we can put ourselves out in a constructive way so that we can achieve what we really want to achieve in a win-win situation. That's what Venus likes, actually, to have a win-win situation where all parties will be having their positives. And one way or the other, I truly believe that this Venus going through Leo for 4 months will be something really beneficial for all of us. And even if for some of us, it could mean that we will be leaving some partnerships or some relationships, this will only be because they were too unfair, and because it was high time for us to be doing something about it. And this Venus retrograde might trigger this kind of this energy that Uranus will be representing. Indeed, I can't stand it anymore. I really need to do something. I really need to change this situation. But if we actually considered the details in advance and start renegotiating, we have much better chances to end up having the transit having a beneficial manifestation for us, rather than having to pick up the pieces. And I really hope.
And on a final note, I feel like with Vulcane being part of it, unfortunately, we need to be expecting some volcano eruptions also.
Oh, yeah.
But from a psychological perspective, because a volcano eruption is really showing our anger, and Venus in Leo does not want to be expressing anger. However, Leo can be taking revenge when they're not getting that admiration, and we can get very upset as well. It's a fire sign at the end of the day. So, it's kind of like a little bit of an internal conflict, surely for many, and Uranus wants us to express our frustration in a sense. So, for instance, if it's someone, if it happens in the 10th house, we might just decide, oh, I want to leave the job, because I'm not getting. I was thinking that obviously 8 years ago, 2015, August, I mean, it's going to be happening in my 6th house. Well, that's when I had gallbladder issues.
Mm.
And eventually my gallbladder needed to be removed. And also, of course, there was some very sick kind of love triangle I was in too. Yeah, so let's not make the same mistake this time around.
Yeah, and it actually is happening in your 6th house, but it also rules your 8th, so some kind of a transformation. So if it doesn't happen on an internal level to transform the anger, for example, it will happen on a physical in the 6th house. So maybe everyone should
That's what
start
I'm planning
thinking.
with Saturn in my 1st house. Next year, you should see
Yeah,
me with some muscles and stuff, some formed body. That's the plan here.
I absolutely
Sure.
admire you, but you know that already anyway. Yeah, what you achieved and what you keep doing with this Saturn. Yeah, that's really great. And again, everything is a cycle, just like Venus has 8-year cycles. That's the same with Saturn transiting through the houses. And that's what I really want to remind everyone that whatever happens, it has some history behind it. And actually, our decisions should be based upon what happened and what we really want for the future, what our long-term goal is. So yeah, we need to consider all the ingredients in the mix.
As a final thought, so those people will get the most impacted who have got planets around 28 degree of Leo or 12 degree of Leo.
Yes.
The reason being is because the shadow periods are going to be those points. So Venus will be extremely slow on those degrees. So it's going to spend a lot more time there. So do you have any planet on 12 degree or 28 degree of the fixed signs? Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, or Scorpio? If you do so, then you know it's going to be affecting you.
Yeah.
Personally, I do have got Pluto in the sign of Scorpio on 29 degrees, so surely it's going to be, important.
Hmm.
However, I would say that rather 27, 28 degree or 12 or 13 degree, you want to be watching out rather than the past degree, even though it's 29 degrees close, but Venus has not reached that point just yet in the moment of the retrogression. So, just keep it very tight and then look at what houses it rules in your chart
Yeah.
and try to kind of combine these topics, house topics, how to fix that. So to give you an example, let's suppose you have got moon falling onto 28 degree of Leo. So, and it's going to be happening, let's say, in your 5th house. So then in that case, I've got a 5th house activation here. Moon would be ruling the 4th house. So something to do with family and children. Maybe I'm going to be revisiting the topic of wanting to get pregnant and wanting to have a family. Or
Yeah.
I want to be thinking about buying or selling a property and so forth. So this is the way how you can actually collaborate or bring the house combinations together.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, then
Well, thank you very much, Tsveti, for this lovely chat.
thank you
And
too.
we
It was
hope to
really
see
lovely.
you again.
Yeah.
And if you would like to have a reading with Tsveti, then she's offering 30% discount on her yearly transit reading. So check that out, book your
Yeah.
spot in.
And I will really be happy to meet anyone on your retreat. I will be there too. I'm more than excited. I can't wait.
Maybe
And
Tsveti is going to be a guest lecturer. She might be holding a lecture for us too.
yeah,
So that would be lovely.
yeah, absolutely. Thank you so
Well,
much, everyone. Have
thank
a
you.
great day.
Bye bye.
Bye.